Tiger Tales. Happy Valentine's Day. We have really missed y'all.
Valentine's Day is my favorite holiday. I love to spread love to all of our community.
Me too, Emmy. I like all the chocolate too.
Speaking of Valentines, are you guys getting your loved one something?
Ew,
gross. Boys have cooties.
No, they don't.
Girls are gross.
Guys, come on now. They are not. You guys are friends.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Boys can be friends.
Lip, do you have a special someone?
Well, I have a special friend.
What's his name?
Well, his name is Jeffrey.
Huh? Ew, is that your boyfriend?
Yes, but we really need to start on this Tiger Tales. We have a special story for you guys today.
It's all about the Little Mermaid, right?
I love that movie. This will go great with your boyfriend.
What do you mean, champ?
It's a love story.
Just like yours and Jeffrey's.
That's right. It isn't about the Little Mermaid, but this story is different from the movie. This story teaches a valuable lesson that everyone can live by.
Once upon a time in ancient Greece, there lived a beautiful little mermaid named Selene and her family in an underwater kingdom beneath the blue and turquoise waters of the Mediterranean Sea. Selene had 5 sisters who were all older than her, and on each of their 18th birthdays, they were allowed to visit the surface of the water and see the world above their ocean dwelling. As each sister came back to the palace underwater, they would tell the magical wonders of the above world. Violet, red, and yellow sunsets, glorious temples with golden statues, mighty soldiers and fearless sailors, and an amazing palace that glimmered in the moonlight. Each time one of her sisters returned, Selene would become more and more curious about the land above. At last, it was Selene's turn to get a glimpse at what she had dreamed of for so long. And when she had reached the surface, she saw a huge ship carrying men all armed as soldiers, like the ones her sisters told her about from their adventures. One man stood out from the rest, for the other soldiers seemed to deeply respect him and call him Prince Alexander. The prince was very handsome and strong, with golden blonde hair and a lovely smile that seemed to comfort the men on board. Suddenly, the winds on the water began to pick up, and waves beat and tossed the ship every which way until it crashed into some rocks. Selene saw Alexander fall into the water and him struggle until his eyes closed. She quickly dragged him to a nearby temple and laid him on the steps to rest. She stayed with him until he began to wake, and then swam over to a nearby rock to watch as a servant girl found him and helped him back to the palace. Enchanted by the young prince, the mermaid went back to her underwater kingdom to see how she could possibly be with Alexander. When her grandmother came to visit her before she went to bed, Selene told her about her experience, and her grandmother told her why humans and merpeople could never be together. That Alexander will die underwater for too long, and that Selene would die if she stayed on land too long. However, the grandmother, while brushing out the mermaid's hair, did tell her of the sea witch that dwelled in the dark part of the sea where no coral or flowers grew and no fish dared to swim. She could help Selene with her problem. So, the next morning she went to the witch's cave. Once there in the barren part of the ocean where all color seemed to fade and only eels and snakes seemed to enjoy, the little mermaid found the cave and saw a small red glowing light. It was the witch's antenna attached to the slimy scales on her forehead. The witch made a deal with Selene, promising her that she will have legs and be able to walk on land in return for her voice because it was so beautiful. The mermaid quickly took the deal and made her way to the shore to her prince. She made a dress out of an old torn ship's mast from the crash and made her way to the palace. The prince was breathtaken by the mermaid's beauty, and they fell madly in love. Sadly, the love did not get to last long, because the king of the city at that time commanded Prince Alexander to marry another princess in a nearby city. So the prince quickly forgot Selene and married his new beautiful maiden. Selene was heartbroken, and now homeless, forced to live in a cave along the shore beneath the city, since she no longer had her mermaid tail and gills to be able to return home. Each day, the little mermaid would watch the prince from the cave with his newfound love, and soon she began to notice details about him that she never did before. Prince Alexander constantly bragged about his battles and riches, and he always would ignore the people of his city as he felt too good and proud to talk to them or help the poor. With this, the princess's interest shifted from the prince to a new man. His name was Attalus. He was not wealthy with gold and silver adorned on his clothes, and he did not have battles to brag about. But he did play with the children along the beach, lifting them up upon his shoulders to be able to witness the vastness of the sea. And he always gave whatever he had to spare to those less fortunate than him. The mermaid noticed this kindness and began to fall for Attalus. After meeting Celine and getting to know her through writings in the sand since she lost her voice to the sea witch, he did not mind that she could not speak, or that her handmade dress was now tattered and torn, or that she was homeless. Attalus was falling for her heart as she did. And one night, under the large moon that gleamed over the vast sea, he gave her a true love's kiss, making her able to talk once again and tell him that she wished to marry him, and they lived happily ever after along the beautiful seashore.
That was an amazing story.
I agree. How did you like the story, Champ?
It was perfect. It certainly taught a few valuable life lessons.
Me too. What were some of the lessons y'all learned from the story?
I learned to stay humble and not to brag.
I learned to always stay kind and to treat others the same way you want to be treated.
Great job, you two. But there is one more thing that you can take away from this story.
What's that, Libby?
You can always change the end of the story to make it your own.
That's a good point, Libby. I didn't even think about that.
So that means I could take any kind of story and change the ending to make it my own?
That's right, Emmy. I'm glad y'all learned so many valuable lessons from this story. But unfortunately, that is all we have for this episode of Tiger Tales. Until next time, friends, stay sweet.